Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Yashodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Yashodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Shri Shri Radhamadava ki jai. Shri Shri Radhakala Shanji ki jai. Shri the Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Pramanande. Okay, guess we're giving class. Hare Krishna, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to daily Srimad Bhagavatam class here at Shri Shri Radhakala Shanji Dham. Shri Shri Radhakala Shanji ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Jaiva Narottamam Devyam Sarasvatim Visyam Tato Jayam Udirayat. Translation together, please. It's the very means of conquest. One should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayan Narishi, the supermost human being, unto the Sarasvati, the goddess of learning, Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayas abreshu, nityam bhagavata sevaya, Bhagavati Uttama Sloke, Bhaktir Bhavati Naistaki. Together, translation, please. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome in the heart is almost completely destroyed, and the loving service unto the personality of God. Irrevocable fact. Om Gantimarandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Shakshuran Lithyam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Translation: I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer respectful obeisances unto him. Good morning, everybody. We're reading third canto, chapter 3. We're finishing chapter 3 from text 24, and then we'll go into the first 3 verses of chapter 4. The theme for today, the danger of Vaishnav aparad, destroyed Krishna's own family. Who knows what Vaishnav aparad is? Dina, what's Vaishnav aparad? Or
it is when you commit aparad against a Vaishnava.
what's aparad for people who don't know what aparad is?
Aparad is a form of offense.
A form of offense. So when you're being offensive to another devotee or a Vaishnav, it's called Vaishnav aparad. It's also it's also described as another kind of offense. What do we call it? The mad elephant offense. The reason why it's called a mad elephant is because when somebody is developing their Krishna consciousness, we've heard it's like a garden, right? And in that garden, we have the creeper of bhakti, or the creeper of devotional service. And we're trying to take nice care of it so that it can grow nicely. And it will grow and grow and grow until it reaches the spiritual world and wraps around Sri Krishna's lotus feet. While in this garden, there's a few things that can happen, though, that we need to protect ourselves from. When we're watering the root of bhakti, or the creeper of bhakti, we can also be watering the weeds in the garden. And when we water the weeds, those can be dangerous also to our bhakti. Can somebody describe what it means to water weeds of the garden of bhakti? Drista Dumya, please.
So you're doing bhakti,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's watering your bhakti creeper, but then still simultaneously you may be watering some unwanted qualities, like, oh, I just led the best Mangal Arati. So it's technically bhakti, but it's also watering the pride weed.
Yeah.
Or, different ways you might accidentally water some unwanted qualities in you while watering the bhakti creeper.
You hear this a lot in religion, right? People get frustrated because they say, this person's religion, but I can still see they have these qualities that are puffed up, or this, or so many different qualities that we consider negative. And yes, people are dealing with stuff. People are trying to, purify themselves, and they're trying to work on their good qualities of humility, compassion, ahimsa, nonviolence, all these different good qualities. However, when you find yourself in a position where you're starting to perform bhakti devotional service nicely, you often get some recognition for it, right? And often it can feel pretty dang good to get recognition, right? Everybody's looking for recognition in this world to some degree, right? And so, however, when we're getting this recognition in bhakti, we have to dovetail it. How do we dovetail the appreciation or the things that are coming up in bhakti? Nishta. Can we use a mic, please? Rupanuga Prabhu would be very happy.
You can say like all of your abilities and talents are gifts from Krishna. And so I'm just like offering back what Krishna has given.
Yes. It's not ours in the first place. This body's not ours. Our talents aren't ours. They're all given by the Supreme. I like your point here that all energy, everything's coming from Krishna. Everything. And so he gives it to us, and then we give it back to him. But the Lord has everything. Why do we give it back to him? Because it's an act of love. It's an act of devotion. And so we're reciprocating with the Lord. He's given us this, and so therefore I give it back to him. And the wonderful thing is he even gives it back again, but this time it's what? It's what? Prasadam. Yes, it's mercy of the Lord. So it no longer has any qualities of material nature. Instead, the qualities of prasadam, or mercy, is that it's completely purified. It's been touched by the eyes. It's been touched by the smell of Krishna. It's been touched by his touch. And so therefore it's no longer even material. It's now spiritual. This is the quality of Krishna. Anything that comes in contact with Krishna becomes spiritualized. It's no longer material. So when we read the book Srimad Bhagavatam, all of this, whether the story is about one devotee or another, it's all in touch with Krishna. And therefore it is spiritual. And it's completely purified. And by reading it and hearing it, we become purified. Okay, text 24, please. Let me see which one we're reading. We're going to read 24. So let's just go right into 24. Please. Let's see what we got today. I'll be honest, I didn't study for today. I thought somebody was scheduled, and so I jumped in here. I'm a little, anyways, we're good. We're good. Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay. Priyam kadachit kra dada bir. Priyam kadachit kra da bir. Priyam kadachit kra dad adbir. Yadu boja kumara kayaha. Yadu boja kumara kaya. Kopita munaya supir. Kopita munaya supir. Supur? Is it supur? Am I saying it wrong? Huh? Supur? Thank you. I appreciate the correction. Kopita manuha supir. Did I say it again? I said it. Sanskrit is not my strong point. Bhagavan mata kovidyaha. Bhagavan mata kovidaha. Would somebody like to go ahead and Puram kadajit kridadvir. Yadu boja kumarakahai. Kopita munaya supir. Bhagavan mata kovidaha. Yadu boja kumarkai. Gopita manaya superior. Bhagavan. Mata kovidaha. Purnyam kadachit kribladir. Yadu boja kamarakahai. Kopita munaya sripur. Bhagavan mata kovidaha. Puryam kodachit kradadvir. Yadu boja kumar kahai. Kopita munaya supir. Spurt. Bhagavan mata kovidaha. Puryam kadachit kradadvir. Yadu boja kumar kahai. Kopita manana supir. Okay, let's just go right to the translation, please. Why do we read Sanskrit? Why do we read the Sanskrit? By purification. How does it purify? Yes. It's transcendental. It's what? It's what? It's the way it was spoken. These pure devotees, this is the actual words and the poetry that they were using. And so when we come contact, like I was saying before, with a pure devotee or the Lord, then also these words are these, everything is connected to him. So you can actually, I don't know, maybe you guys can feel this, at least I've experienced it. The more and more you chant it, the more and more you can see it start to penetrate the heart, the more and more you start to feel purified in yourself. Okay, translation. Once upon a time, great sages were made angry by the sporting activities of the princely descendants of the Yadu and Bhoja dynasty, and thus, as desired by the Lord, the sages cursed them. Can somebody read the purport, please? If you don't want to read, it's okay. Just pass it on.
The associates of the Lord who were playing the part of princely descendants of the Yadu and Bhoja dynasties were not ordinary living entities. It is not possible that they could offend any saintly man or sage, nor could the sages, who were all pure devotees of the Lord, be influenced to anger by any of the sporting activities of the princes born in the holy dynasties of Yadu or Bhoja, wherein the Lord himself appeared as a descendant. The cursing of the princes by the sages was another transcendental pastime of the Lord to make a show of anger. The princes were cursed in order that one may know that even the descendants of the Lord, who could never be vanquished by any act of material nature, were subjected to the reaction of anger by the great devotees of the Lord. One should therefore take great care and attention not to commit an offense at the feet of a devotee of the Lord.
So before the Lord descends on any planet, he tells the demigods and his pure devotees, hey, I'm going to go down to earth, get ready. And so what they do is they go before the Lord and they get everything ready. They get the pastime ready. It's kind of like a stage crew in a sense. You got this beautiful play that's going to go on, and before everybody can act and the play can go on, there's got to be people that make the props, right? There's got to be the lighting got to get right. It has to be perfect. People are writing scripts or this or that. Not exactly like, this isn't exactly like Krishna's, but the point is that before the Lord comes and shows his pastimes, there's some prep work that needs to be done. And that's done by the Lord's devotees, by the pure devotees. And so when they come down here, they don't just get ready, they actually start to enter the Lord's pastimes also. And so, but one would misunderstand if they see the Lord and his pure devotees as subject to material nature, meaning they become illusioned. What is that illusion? That the Lord isn't their supreme Lord, and that they are thinking of Krishna as just a normal person. The pure devotees are never thinking like this. They're always knowing that they have a pastime and a role to act and a duty to do in conjunction with the Lord. And so the Krishna's pastimes, when they're doing it, you have situations where like this, where you go, wait a minute, this person's a pure devotee of the Lord, and they seem to be doing something that isn't very saintly. How come is that? How can this be? Well, the Lord and the pure devotees are coming for the purpose to teach us. They want us to understand the purpose and the transcendental nature of the Lord. So they go into things and they do stuff like curse people or this or that, right? And this reading of Srimad Bhagavatam, or this telling of Srimad Bhagavatam, is by, the person inquiring in the questions here is Maharaj Parikshit. And Maharaj Parikshit, being the king, he was a very saintly king, a pure devotee. However, at one point he comes across a sage, and in the sage, he kind of says something to the sage, like tries to get him up from his slumber. And the sage just stays in his samadhi, his deep trance. And so Maharaj Parikshit tries again. Maharaj Parikshit just wanted a glass of water, just needed some water. But the sage doesn't respond to Maharaj Parikshit, and he gets upset. And so he grabs a dead snake and throws the dead snake on the sage. And the sage's son hears about this, and he gets very angry. He feels like his brother has just been so embarrassed, been dishonored, disrespected, and the son decides to curse Maharaj Parikshit. He says, "You're going to be bitten by a snake bird, a poisonous, venomous snake, and in 7 days he will die. Maharaj Parikshit will die." And Maharaj Parikshit, being a pure devotee of the Lord, he actually could have said, begged, or just asked even for this curse to be taken away, to be nullified. But he looked at it as the arrangement of the Lord. He said, this is the arrangement of the Lord. I'll take my curse. I should have never done that. Therefore, I'll take this curse. Now, what should I do? And he has a assembly of sages. He's the king. He has many, many people that help him with running the kingdom in what was called Brahmins. So they're giving him advice on how to run his kingdom nicely. So all of them come together, and he says, "Okay, what should I do? I'm going to die in 7 days." And so they say, what you should do is you should hear Srimad Bhagavatam. So they speak it right here. This is what you should do if you're about to die. And he starts speaking about the Lord's pastimes in the Lord's form, about his holy name. So, as I said before, sometimes it looks like the Lord's devotees are doing things that aren't appropriate, but they're simply doing it to teach us how to act and how to associate with the pure devotees in the Lord. And I was mentioning before, it's just like an actor. So you can imagine that we're acting, however, because of being conditioned souls, we're acting in a way that we're actually thinking that we are the actor. Could you imagine you're going into a play, and one of the actors is a dog, and they put a dog suit on, and they bark, and they do so many funny things in the play. But they start going home, and they act like a dog. They start talking to their friends like a dog. What? It's crazy, right? You would see this person and go, "Dude, you've gone over the deep end, okay? You're just playing a dog." So similarly, we're in this situation where I'm playing as Nanda Braja, you're playing Janaki, Rajeshwari, and we're, unfortunately, maybe you're not Rajeshwari, but at least for myself, I'm thinking that I'm Nanda Braja. I'm thinking I'm this body. So it's kind of crazy. Instead, I should be understanding that I am not the body, that I am the soul, and that I should understand my nature, understand the gifts that Krishna gives me, even my faults, and start understanding myself so that I can play nicely in this role as a devotee. And start giving everything to Krishna. Yes, Esther. We grab the mic.
My question is, for people who are aspiring to be pure devotees and they're even doing really good, what makes it so hard for them to still have this problem of, I think I'm the body, and having to remind themselves and all this practice and stuff?
This is a great question. Because we've had millions of births practicing being the body, thinking that we are the body. And so we have innumerable impressions that are coming from our past that says, I'm the enjoyer, I'm the middle of everything. And we start to associate with some of those things that don't keep us on the proper path of Krishna consciousness, and we slide off a little bit. But the wonderful thing about Krishna consciousness is when we're around devotees and we keep chanting, what happens is we might get off a little bit, but they bring us back. So our north for the devotee is Krishna. It's his lotus feet, right? And we might start to veer off because we say, oh, squirrel, right? We say, oh, there's a nice candy bar. Or I don't know. Anyways, the point is we start seeing something that attracts our eye that says, oh, this is for me. This is for my enjoyment. We start to think that we are not that we are the body, that we start thinking the play is us, and it is we become, like I was explaining about the actor who starts acting like a dog. So the devotees who are trying to practice Krishna consciousness and pure themselves is they're getting lessons. They're not like ordinary lessons. They're not like ordinary difficulties that people go through. The difficulties and the things that the devotee is going for, even though they might get off a little bit, are simply teaching lessons or opportunities that we learn how to get back on. We may, I made a mistake. Krishna, Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, please tell me what I did wrong. And if we have that humble mood to look within ourselves and see where our mistake is, you'll get told through either association of the devotees or reading scriptures, reading Srimad Bhagavatam, or by the spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, just reading his books. We're getting his association, and he'll start helping you to readjust. So this is the reason why devotees who are practicing, you'll see mistakes in them, but don't think of them as normal mistakes. Think, that devotee's very lucky. The Lord is touching them in such a way that they can learn how to get past these weeds that we're watering. Remember we talked about weeds that we're watering in? Yes, we need to pull them out. But how do we pull them out? We pull them out by situations that sometimes get tough, or sometimes a learning lesson, and we get to yank them out. And that's Krishna's mercy. Go ahead.
I want to make one more comment. You always say, sometimes you say that we could have like a class the day before, and then it's funny how it happens, and we're talking about the same thing, like in the morning class. Yeah. And I had a conversation with someone yesterday, and they were giving me advice about something, and I'm hearing a lot of the things that they said to me that you're saying right now, so it was like a very similar conversation.
And the more and more we touch spiritual life, the more and more things like this happen. The more and more you're reading, the more and more you're associating with doing, the more quality your job is getting, things just start happening where you're like, this isn't a coincidence. I heard the same thing 3 times now. Ding, ding, ding. Maybe Krishna's saying something to me, or maybe the spiritual master is. The thing is that we have to be careful, though, is like Vaishnava Aparad, we don't start getting content. We stop having gratitude for these situations. It just becomes our daily life. Oh yeah, Krishna's my servant. Krishna, I've done something wrong. You either fix it or tell me what I've done wrong. No, we always try to cultivate the mood of gratitude and humility. And that in those gratitude and humility, appreciation comes from them. And then, because we're appreciating the gift that Krishna's giving, he can reciprocate more. If we start to think, this is me, I've done so many things, because I'm going to Srimad Bhagavatam, because I'm chanting Hare Krishna, now the Lord's become my servant. Okay, that's not so good for us on an attitude. So Krishna will give us our room and do whatever he wants and stuff like that, but that's not what we want. As devotees, we always want the Lord, showing us these things, helping us. So we cultivate these good characteristics that really help us. And those characteristics start to develop with our relationships with other devotees. And so when we're around devotees, if we're always trying to cultivate the gratitude for being around them and the humility, then these are really things that protect us from committing Vaishnava Aparad, from offending devotees. Sometimes we get around devotees, we live in a house around them, and we start seeing that they're leaving dishes around, or they're, maybe not hygiene, like isn't up to par all the time, or just anyways, little small things, right? And so we start to take that, and we start to see past the fact that this person is very rare, and that they've decided to walk the path of bhakti. And when we start to do that, we start to see people as normal human beings, and we start to criticize. We start to look at these things in such a light that's really bad for our relationship. And this can cause Vaishnava Aparad. Hana, please. You had a comment? Can we get the microphone, please? How are you? Good.
Will you share about the Yadu and Bhoja dynasties?
Yes. So the Yadus is the family that Krishna appeared in. So when Krishna appears, I was mentioning that he says, "Hey everybody, go down and let's get ready. We're going on a play date." And so Krishna says, "But for you need to go ahead and get the things ready. Get our volleyball net ready. Get the baseball diamond set." I'm obviously being facetious, but what I'm saying is that they're going for the Lord and his devotees. It's simply play. It's a play. And so he tells them to go get ready. They appear in the dynasty of the Yadus. So this is the dynasty that Krishna comes from. He picks a family. He says, "Okay, you guys take birth in this family. I'll be there at sometimes." Can somebody help me with the Bhoja dynasty? Yeah, right here. This isn't please.
I think from my understanding, it's basically Arjuna's side of the family.
Arjuna's?
Yeah, or like basically the entire like Pandava, Kaurava side of the family. Kunti.
Okay, gotcha.
Like Kunti Bhoja, like Kunti Bhoja is the father of Kunti.
Okay, gotcha.
So from that side down.
Okay. So this is the Pandavas, who are Krishna's dear friends. What Prabhu's saying is that the Pandavas and their nephews and their cousins and stuff come from the Bhoja dynasty. So the Yadus are Krishna's, and his distant relatives are from the Bhoja dynasty, and they're friends. Is that okay? This is the play, right? This is the play that they're coming. There's going to be a war. There's going to be a situation. There's going to be a bunch of drama. But as devotees, we sit back and say, okay, this is okay. Krishna's playing some games here. How do I fit into it? How can I increase my devotional service? And what can I do to please Krishna? Any questions, Janaki, or comments?
Hare Krishna. Such
Hare
a
Krishna.
nice class. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I was just wondering, I think it's worded very interestingly, that these great saintly people were made angry, but because it was the desire of Krishna, they cursed the Yadu and Bhoja dynasties. So it was Krishna's desire. And then, but then at the very end of the purport, Prabhupada is saying we should be very careful that this doesn't happen to us.
Yes.
So how do we understand that this was not just like a work of fate, but it's Krishna wants it, but then Prabhupada says, avoid it, or like.
Yeah. So later we hear about these dynasties starting to drink, take intoxications, and then they end up fighting and killing each other. So the lesson is that when we start this Vaishnava Aparad, it starts as a cycle which starts to decrease our lifespan, or decrease our piety in every single way. And most importantly, it decreases our relationship with Krishna, because Krishna, ultimately, he wants us to get along because we're brothers and sisters. And so if we start fighting amongst each other, he doesn't like this at all. So the lesson that we're learning is that through Vaishnava Aparad, it starts to burn the bridges, the relationships that we have around us. We might not necessarily kill each other, but we're killing our relationships. And when we kill relationships with devotees, eventually we find ourselves by ourselves. And when you're by yourself, it is impossible to practice Krishna consciousness. There's four things that we call the ABCs, Ds, ABCs of Krishna consciousness. A is association. So hanging out with other people that are spiritually like-minded, other people that are practicing. B's, books. C, chanting. And then D, we have 2. We have diet and DTs, right? So if the very first one, the A, association's not there, the other 3 and the other 4, they crash. Yeah. So we have to be very, very careful in how we act with devotees in the sense of appreciating them and not taking them for granted, because it will start a fire and it will start the elephant. And did I even mention that the point of the elephant? I don't think I mentioned this. The point of the elephant offense is that when we have this nice garden that we're growing and we pulled out the weeds, the offenses we make to devotees is like a mad elephant. And the mad elephant will come and it will stomp on our garden. It will crush the creeper of devotion. It will crush everything within our garden. And there we're left with nothing. We're left with a very sad situation. Is that okay? Go ahead.
I just have one more appreciation for something that you said also, is that whenever we have these situations, how we should feel grateful. And I was thinking, or what you said was that if we don't have that feeling of gratitude, even if we don't feel it authentically, if we can't, muster it up, then we become blinded. Other things that are, Krishna's hand in our life. And one time I was listening to a lecture, and they were saying that the bigger that your false ego is, the more blind you are to it. The more it's very, very difficult to accept and see any anarthas that you might have to work on. And the more that you're in this process and you're, on the path and you're trying your best, if you're sincere, then the bigger that you'll be able to see your false ego, or the more clear it will be. So you'll come up with all sorts of problems when you're sincerely trying, and you'll be able to see it. But the minute that you let your false ego take you over, you won't see anything.
Janaki mentioned anarthas. Anarthas are called unwanted things. So these are like the weeds that come up. So if we like you're saying, if our false ego is too strong and we're not developing our nice qualities through Krishna consciousness, the anarthas, the unwanted things, they just start to fester and they don't get taken care of. They really, they're just, like a garden, you go out and you say, nobody's taking care of this garden, weeds are everywhere. Nice dandelions are up, but so today we've spoken about Vaishnav Aparad. We talked about that we have a garden, and in that garden is a creeper that we're taking care of nicely, because this creeper is going to grow and grow and grow and grow till it reaches through the spiritual world and attaches to Krishna's lotus feet. But to do that, we have to be careful. We have to be careful of Vaishnav Aparad, meaning that offending devotees. And the weapon that we have against offending devotees is having gratitude and appreciation and humility towards them. And this can really be our shield to this offense that's a killer. We have one more time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions or comments. No? Okay.
I want to thank you for bringing this up today. And in a space of compassionate inquiry, I am acknowledging the appropriation of cleansing conflicts, and also that to be angry doesn't mean that that's a sin. And so I'm curious about the space in between where the sages live, that will allow for us to create safe space within the realm of devotees to share honestly and candidly of who we are together, without needing to fear, oh, what if I step on someone's toes or crush some eggshells, that we can stand strong, humbly, firm, and flexibly in the realm of our family together. Will you speak on this?
So, yeah, beautiful question. I also appreciate you being here and your questions and listening. In a relationship, sometimes people think it's 50-50. But that's not true. A relationship is 100-100. Everybody has to give the most they can for humility and compassion towards each other. And when you have somebody who isn't quite doing that, then through your 100%, you protect yourself. In a conflict, it might be 3% your fault. I'm using percentages because this is, how do we gauge stuff? You know what I mean? There's not really a percentage, right? But you could say like this, think like this, right? It might be 3% your fault. It might be 50% fault. It might be 80% your fault. It might be 99% your fault. But if there's a conflict, there's always two people in there that are dealing with their stuff. And so when devotees have these trouble, to have a place where we can deal with things and get past them, this is part of it, is take responsibility for your 3%. If it's only 3%, I take 100% of my responsibility for my 3%. We can't do anything about the other person. We can do our best to help them and stuff like that, but they have to take care of their 97% or their 3%. So this is one part of it. Giving 100% and taking responsibility for your stuff through that act of humility. And when you have two people doing it, it really starts to work. The second thing, which is the most important thing, is we really have to understand that we're servants of Krishna. And therefore we're servants of the devotees. When you're a parent, when somebody gives you ice cream, it's really nice. I love ice cream. I really appreciate if you guys want to give me ice cream, please. But you want to know how to really make me happy? Give my kid ice cream. Let me see the smile on my kid's face. Let me see the happiness that you give my children. That will make me more happy than if you did it to myself. So similarly in Krishna consciousness, Krishna appreciates more the happiness we give to others than even himself. However, we have to be careful that through the false ego, we don't think I'm making them happy. I'm doing it. I'm the controller. No, Krishna's given me some service. He's given me some facility to please the other devotees, to serve them. And so this is Krishna consciousness. This is always thinking, how am I doing it stuff? How am I acting? How am I reciprocating in a way that will ultimately please Krishna? Because if I please this person, it will please Krishna. So these two things. Take responsibility for yourself. Ask yourself 100%, how can I help? How can I, what can I do to serve? And know that it's Krishna that we're trying to ultimately please, and we're doing it through the devotees. What do you think of this? Anybody want to add to that point? We're 3 minutes over. If somebody has just a sentence or two sentences to add to that, it will be cool. Or no. Yes, Chanaki. People are falling asleep.
Yeah, I appreciate this point that what I hear that you're saying is that people can be angry. People will get angry. It's a valid emotion sometimes. And everything that we have somehow can be used in service to Krishna. And so, but oftentimes, when we feel angry, it's due to our false ego. So we should get fired up or use those emotions if we have them to somehow benefit and serve Krishna. So if, say, we hear people criticizing devotees, or we come across a situation where people are, trying to destroy the temple or something, we can use that anger like, hey, Krishna, this is very valuable and this is for Krishna, so we can protect in that way. But there's always a time, place, and circumstance for it too. But I appreciate that, bringing that up.
Very nice comment. There's a book called Nectar of Instruction, and it talks about anger. And in it, Srila Prabhupada talks about how to use anger in an appropriate way. maybe, I don't know if you're interested in that subject, Dina can definitely help you, or Janaki, or any of the devotees. But we're 4 minutes over, and I can hear people's tummies rumbling because they're hungry. Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Pramanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to civil devotees.